So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the largest, fastest growing, and the most active um, community of large-scale Scrum that has originated here in New York City, New York, the United States, but has gone global and viral ever since uh, 2021, I think. Today, we have a very special speaker, and I would like to introduce this person. Her name is Michal Epstein. She was actually highly recommended to me by some folks, some friends and colleagues of mine from the Agile, women in Agile space. And she was very highly recommended as a very energizing, galvanizing speaker with the ocean of knowledge. So, Michal is the founder of Agile Xelutive, presumably that
Agile executive.
executive. Oh, that's
Yeah.
and that's the company I think that you represent, Michal. So
Yeah.
she is a very well-known public speaker, and I've actually played some of her videos myself. Amazing, very
Thank you.
projected and very influential. She's also a senior and experienced agile coach, and to say not the least, to say she's a professional Scrum trainer, PST from the Scrum.org community, which is a highly reputable organization. So anyone who comes from there would be expected to understand Scrum really well and be able to teach and coach it really well. Mikhail has over 15 years of experience with transforming organizations to agile by working from the top, top to bottom, bottom to top, and also has done influential work in various industries. So, without any further ado, I would like to pass the baton over to Mikhail so she has maximum of time. And I kindly ask you all to keep your mics off and I will be reading the chat window. But if you want to ask any questions, just raise your hand or wait until Mikhail gives you an opportunity to speak. Okay. With that, Mikhail, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you for introducing me. I will talk today in the next hour or a little bit less about Agile on batteries, Agile transformation in the biotech or nanotech industry, which I had the honor to have some experience with several organizations, such organization, and I figured several main differences between when we look at agility in these organizations versus software organization that are the most common organization that apply agile. So just a little bit about myself. For me, it's dinner time. I am from Israel. I'm married. I have four kids and a dog. Actually, it is updated now. I have two dogs, but no more kids. No worries. I'm the founder of Agile Executive, and I'm experienced Agile coach, as Jeanette said, and a professional Scrum trainer. And I've been working with several organizations from the biotech industry and nanotech industry, chemists and biologists, and they did a great job in applying agility. So let me tell you a little bit about that. Um, so how this journey of mine started. So several years ago, it was just before COVID when I got a phone call from a VP of R&D from a biochemical startup. The startup aimed to develop the next generation of fast charging batteries for electric vehicles, and their main challenge was how to accelerate their development cycle and take smarter decisions regarding future research and development alternatives. Um, so they wanted me. They wanted to work in Agile. This VP of R&D knew about Agile and trusted in Agile and asked me whether I can come and help them do the transformation. So me, I have many years of experience, and my experience is an agile coach with different organizations, different industries, different sizes, local and global. I've been working with all of these different cultures and sizes of organization, and yet I was hesitating. I thought, how can I help this bunch of super smart doctors with their working processes. How can help them fit the Scrum framework to their needs, where molecular formulas replace code lines and anodes and cathodes are the artifacts. So, but anyway, I decided to take the challenge and I started working with them, and this is the story. So I will share my experience working with this organization. This was my initial experience in the biotech industry, and since then I've been working with more organizations. And my conclusions is, of course, taken from all the organizations that I have been working with, and I'm currently working with now. I will talk about first the main differences between the software industry and the biotech industry from an agile perspective, and share insights about the main elements of agile and Scrum who made the most impact in the agile transformation for this industry. You are welcome to ask me any question at any time. So during the session, um, as long as we have time, I'll be happy to answer. Okay. So let's start with some differences between the biotech and the software industry. The first difference is that when we are working with software startups, usually the startups start with a great idea of someone that thinks that have a solution for a common problem. Now, it is most likely that there will be a solution for the problem. The main question would be if other people really think that this is really a problem that they can actually pay for that. Okay, there will be, will we be able to sell it? This is the main questions of all the startups. Now, in the biotech, um, usually the things that they are creating, it's like reinventing science. Most likely that they will be able to sell. I mean, if they will be able to create batteries for vehicles that are um, that can be re get all the electricity in less than 10 minutes, that would be great. This is something that does not exist today. It's like going to the gas station and making a fuel. We wait a few minutes and you can drive. You don't have to wait for hours. But the question is whether we will be able to actually create it. Will we be able to change science and create this a wonderful idea? And so usually agile, if you are all agilists, so you know this matrix by Professor Stacy that created that investigated different managerial styles in different organizations and compared the different complexities related to requirements, to people, and to technologies. And Agile usually comes to assist us in complex environment, in complex organization, when there is a more unknown than known. But the biotech industry is a little bit in the thin line between chaotic and complex because there is very little is known. We are really reinventing science here. So this is one major difference between the software industry and the biotech. A second difference is that in the software startup is the brownfield versus the biotech, which is greenfield. Most of organization in the software industry around the world knows at least something about Agile and Scrum, at least heard this buzzword from somewhere and have some idea about what it is. Now, this can be a great advantage, but also a disadvantage because maybe sometimes their ideas may be anchored with some understanding of Agile as a specific thing, and it's really difficult to teach them otherwise. In the biotech industry, it's mostly greenfield. Most of the people that work in this industry didn't hear about Agile and Scrum before. This is all new for them. I was just providing a class earlier this week, to some of my clients from the biotech industry. And this was a Scrum.org class, a professional Scrum Master. And we talk about the daily Scrum. And how it's a common understanding of the daily Scrum, how people ask the three questions: what did I do yesterday? What am I going to do today? And what are my impediments? And this is example that is taken from previous releases of the Scrum Guide. And there is a question whether we have to run it in the daily Scrum. Now, they didn't know what these questions are. And I say, okay, don't worry, you don't have to, please. This is not how you have to run the daily Scrum. So it's a green field, and sometimes it is harder, but also there is an advantage that they do not have anchored ideas about what Scrum is that might be confusing for them. Um, this is Jack Knott, a former CEO of EPAC Digital Printing. Until EPAC was established, the common model for the printing industry in the US was to build one central big factory and deliver the artifacts all over the States. EPAC came with an innovative idea. For the purpose of being close to the clients, they opened several factories next to their large and strategic clients. They wanted to build a better partnership with their clients and provide better service for them. In a couple of years, APAC built tens of factories all over the United States. And when Jack Knott was asked during a digital press conference, what are the characteristics that he look for when he's recruiting a new factory manager, he said that he's looking for people who dare to dream, not for people that will explain what cannot be done. And I relate this to the greenfield when they are novice to Agile. Sometimes you bring new ideas of how to apply true agility and not take it as um, best practice methodology that you already know what to do. Um, the third difference between the industries is about the increment. What is the increment in the biotech industry? If we're talking about potentially shippable software increments, so for example, if I'm taking a remote control as an example, an increment is a very thin, lightweight remote control with only few functionalities inside, right? Versus this is opposed to the waterfall approach when we create all the plastics and the motherboards and then all the functionality. So we create something very thin, very lean, okay, with only few buttons that we think that they are high priority, and then we add more functionality and more functionality to it. This is the agile approach for software development, okay? But when I'm talking about batteries, for example, how can I split it, okay, into smaller pieces of value? What is the essence of that? What is the meaning of that? So I will come back to talk about the definition of done and about the increment shortly after this introduction about the differences. And this is really interesting and um, a bit different. Um, and one last but not least different is that the most of the people that work in this industry are researchers that are coming from the academy. And when you are a researcher in the academy, you have the whole time in the world to bring something perfect. Every research takes years and years. But now we are working in a business. We need the money to come up, right? We don't need to be perfect. We need to be good enough and provide a value to our clients, get some money to our business. Okay, so they are usually focused on building the thing right. While when we work in a business industry, we have to have all the three elements of building the thing right, building the right thing, and build it fast. This is the essence of building a product. And it's sometimes really, really hard to convince these researchers that are coming from the academy to work in a different manner, okay, to be not 100% precise and sure before we can deliver something. Um, any questions so far? Good. So, um, so let's move to the agile transformation process, and I would like to highlight some of the main, first of all, the challenge that we have, main challenge that we had when we implemented and applied agility, and we applied Scrum, okay, as the main framework for agility, what were the main challenges, how we overcome them, and what were the um, highlights of or the elements in Scrum that made the most impact in these industries. So we'll start with people and teams. The team is the center of agility, of Scrum. Let's start with people and team. So first of all, what we did is establish cross-functional teams. The structure of the organization was by skill, by expertise. There was a manager that was a senior researcher, and all the researchers, junior researchers, were in his team. Now, in the academy, it is very known practice that the senior researcher knows best and leads the way of telling what to do and how to make the experience and etc. So this was the structure of the organization before. We moved to agile cross-functional teams. This raised, first of all, new accountabilities. We have now the Scrum Masters, we have the product owner, the agile teams are cross-functional, and the managers are actually outside of the Scrum teams. Okay, and they have different accountability now. Instead of telling what needs to be done and splitting the work between the people. Okay, now they have to support them professionally, and this is one of the first challenge that was in this change from organic team to cross-functional agile teams. So challenge one is difficult to orchestrate. Um, Science has always been a scholarly pursuit, hard-working individuals pushing boundaries to expand their knowledge. The entire career of these managers is built upon their seniority as domain expert. And now it is different. They have to provide space for their researchers to speak up, to say what their opinion is, to impact much more. The second challenge would be a role perception, and it's also related to that because the manager main's accountability moved from decide how to make the process to progress and then make the final decision and to become professional advisor and team professional support. Now, I have provided a professional Scrum Master class to this group of leaders in that organization. This is a little bit in Hebrew, some of it, but I will translate, no worries. And I did this training with a colleague of mine who is a graphic facilitator. He's really a graphic facilitator, and he captures moment from what happened in the room while we taught them the new accountability of the manager. I see a question, so I'll make a stop. Scott?
I think you're maybe about to answer it because I'm also an agile coach, and this is an area where I struggle with. I was going to ask, what do you tell managers their new job is? What are their responsibilities when they're no longer a part of a team that's every single day developing the product? That's where I struggle. That's where I see managers struggling the most, and I
Yeah.
tell them your primary responsibility is to develop people. You no longer develop the product. It doesn't always come across perfectly. So I'm just curious. I'll let you talk a little bit more, but how do you get managers to step back from the product development, if in fact that's even what you do?
So first of all, I struggle it with myself. Okay, it is a struggle. It's not easy. I agree with you. They develop people and professionalism. Okay, they grow their people, they advise them. Okay, but they are not the one to decide what to do next and what to do next necessarily. They can recommend. Okay, like a consultant. Okay, they have a lot of impact, but sometimes they feel that the ground is very shaky under their legs. So it is not easy to do the transformation because there is a lot of ego involved, and all the habits that are involved. But we work on that. We mentor people, we help them, we provide them examples throughout the way. I'll tell you about the process that we did here and in other organizations that I work with. Maybe it will provide you with some ideas. It is a process. It's not like a one-time shot. So during this train, I'm coming back to the training because of the perception of the manager and the difficulty to grasp their new role, there were some things that happened in the room that we captures in graphics. So here, what is written here, anyone knows how to read that? um, Wait a minute. Do I need to actually touch people in this role that I'm doing? Now, I'm not talking about physical touch, of course, but to get to people in Hebrew, it is the same word, but the meaning is totally different. Do I actually need to see people? The people inside, because before all I saw is the product and the professionalism and what needs to be done. Now I have to see the person in front of me. So they were really struggling with that, as you just said. Here, what is written here is all I wanted is to help me understand why I cannot make it, not for you to do it for me. Okay, they were used to help people do things, so we do it for them. Sometimes we do it with our little kids, right? When they struggle to do something, we just help them and do it for them. But then we prevent them from growing up and being independent. Okay, of course, it's not 100%, but just as an example. So they were used to say the last word about how to do things, and now they need to help them make their own way. What's written here is the people are asking, how do we get off this island? And the managers say, what do you recommend? So the tool of asking question is a very important tool for these managers to help them grasp their new role and accountability towards people. Stop answering, ask more questions, grow them up, lead them to the right answer, and also let them fail sometimes. And they found it really difficult, and I'm sure this you can read, to actively do nothing. Okay, sometimes you have to just let go, let them do the work, let them succeed, let them fail, okay, in order to learn and mentor them, help them, ensure that they see it as a positive, constructive feedback. So what did we do? As I said, so we trained them. We did a lot of one-on-one mentoring conversations. We created a lot of trust with these managers and talked a lot about every dilemma that they had. And we watched them in different meetings and saw the behavior and provide them some feedback and talked about it. It was a lot of work. It's a long work. We created and established forum groups to discuss daily dilemmas together as a team. So we try to create a real team of management, which is very, very important because if the management is acting as team, everything goes down to the entire organization. If they are struggling with each other on the top of the pyramid, so it seems on the bottom. We worked also closely with HR, human resources, closely because they also supported their employees, their managers with different dilemmas. So we helped them from different perspectives. From the outside, I was an outside consultant, and from inside, HR, and everyone supported this process. And of course, sometimes people that does not like this way of working, and it just doesn't work. Of course, we don't let people go in a minute. We think about it a lot. We provide them. We try to give them more opportunities, more mentoring. But sometimes these people that did not accept their new accountability as a leader, and the organization just let them go. And this is another thing that was captured in that training that I did from one of the managers that actually did not fit in. And after a while, he let go. Is that when I asked him to do some, I'm always facilitating my trainings with a lot of engagement, and we have notes, and they write their ideas and put them on the wall. And then this manager was sitting down like this, and he said, "Can someone take these notes and put it on the wall?" Okay, he used to be the manager. So it's just an anecdote from the class, but you can really say what this person was and how much um, um, this way of working of more collaboration and less hierarchy just didn't work for him. And we were able, of course, to see it over time. It was not about the class itself. I hope I was able to answer your question. I don't see all of you, so if you have question, you can just speak up or whatever, or write something. Oh, I see that they are also in the chat. Um, okay. So main outcomes of these of this approach of the modification that we did with the team structure. The team members felt the increased level of impact they have on the product development. This happened really, really fast. I think over 95% of the researchers in the organization just came to me or to the HR or to the manager and say that they feel that finally someone listens to them and they that really have impact on what's going on and how to develop the product. It's really funny because many times when we recruit people to our organization, we spend a lot of time to recruit the best people that we can. And then when they come to the organization, when we hire them, we just tell them what to do. So here we started to ask them what to do, and they really felt encouraged by that. Their motivations went really high, and they were really happy about that, really, almost 100% of them. And I have to say, in this organization, it is the same until today. I just recently visited them. It's perfectly there. Second thing is the ability to take better decision by focusing on the desired product outcome as a whole. Before we did a change in the organizational structure, uh, the teams were working in organic team per discipline. For example, in batteries, I learned a little chemistry in that matter. So there was the anodes team and the cathodes team and the electrolytes and etc. So each team progressed in its own part of the battery, but no one had a perspective about what is the status of the entire battery and where we should maybe put more effort. It's like creating a car, and I producing a car, and now I have the wheel team and the chair team and the engine team. Okay, and maybe the wheel team is the winner team, and we created a wheel of gold. But if the car cannot move, it worth nothing. And before this organizational change, it's really difficult for this organization to see the whole car and make smart decisions. Now that every team had all the disciplines that are related to that, they could see the big picture in a more reasonable way and can make decision of how to move forward. I want to just tell you real quick two examples of this organization really embedded transparency, inspection, and adaptation DNA. Okay, that's why they are agile until today. They did not um, uh, take what do I have to do now. They took the DNA of transparency, inspection, and adaptation. And as a consultant, I came with them with, of course, some recommendations and ideas. But there is no one way to achieve agility and to apply agility. And they inspect and adapt all the time. So one example would be the team side. Initially, when we created the cross-functional teams, the teams were very big, like from 15 to 20 people. So I did recommend them that it will be difficult to orchestrate and to work together, but they needed all the skills and they tried. After a while, they struggled with it themselves. And then the answer about what is okay for them came from inside, and they were much more committed to that. So no recommendation can be stronger than something that is coming from the inside. And they found that it is too hard to orchestrate large teams and make them smaller. Inspect and adapt. This is their DNA today. Also, they had an issue with scarce resources. Some people had scarce skill set or expertise, and they supported many teams at the same time. So that, like, one person was 20% in team one and 30% in team two, and etc. etc. Now, we are people. We are not robots. We are not Excel files. Okay, we cannot split like 20%, 30%, 41%. It was very, very difficult. These people was really frustrated. Now, there is no magic to solve this problem of scarce resources, but it brings the problem and highlights the problem. And they inspected and adapted and found over time um, they find ways to overcome this problem and minimize it to only a few people that really they didn't have anything else that can do, and they inspected and adapted how they will work over time. So again, it's a complex reality, right? This is what Agile and Scrum are for. We need to inspect and adapt different solution, and this organization definitely did that. So this part was about teams and the structure and people and the teams. And now let me talk a little bit about the working routines that we work there. So first of all, we needed to decide about the sprint lengths. Research and experiments takes time. Okay, it's longer than software development, and I cannot challenge that. I mean, if an experiment is running in a machine for a month, I don't know how to cut this into a week, right? Um, it's sometimes difficult to pursue value in short cycle. And so we inspected and adapted the sprint length over time, and we found out that 3 or 4 weeks is more common practice for this industry. I have to say that most of my software clients work in 2 week sprints. And before I came to that organization, they hired another agile consultant who told them it's most commonly 2 weeks. You have to work in 2 week sprints, but it doesn't fit to this organization. And even by the book or by the Scrum guide, it doesn't say that it has to be 2 weeks. So between 1 and 4 weeks, and we find out that most common it is best to have 3 or 4 weeks. They moved from 3 to 4 every now and then, but mainly this is working for them very good. And in other organizations that I've been working um, with since, they found out the same sprint length that is more suitable for their needs and their abilities to provide value. Let's begin with the end in mind, the sprint review. Okay, the last meeting, or almost the last meeting in Scrum. The sprint review in this industry is the place for demonstrating transparency, inspection, and adaptation. I have visited too many software organizations that their sprint review is a nice demo. Okay, it's not just because everyone around the world, right, call it a demo because it's just a demo. The developers show what they did. Everybody say, "Hey, that's great." Sometimes we eat a cake, we raise a toast, and we continue with what we have planned before during the pre-planning meeting, during maybe if you work in scale, okay, so during the quarter or the quarter planning, we keep following our plans mostly. In most of the organization, that's what I saw in the review. But here it was really different. The sprint review became a centric and very powerful event. It's not only about demonstrating the result, but really true inspect and adapt discussion. Stakeholders attended always this meeting, and there was a really high energy discussion about the results and what does it say about the future development of the product. The discussions were extensive and crucial for the next step. And a lot of action items or ideas uh, went from this meeting straight to the planning event, to discuss and make some decisions. Sometimes the refinement process that is very popular in software development that happening all the time is found a little bit redundant in this industry because the outcomes of the experiments during the sprints has a lot of impact about how to move on. Okay, we talked earlier about the definition of done. The definition of done is not a working software. Okay, it's not a working hardware, but it's about making the decision. For example, when we research something, we research for several alternatives of how to develop something. Okay, maybe the definition of done and the sprint goal would be to make an answer whether to continue with A or with B. We have to make a decision. It's not 100%. We may be wrong, but we have to make decisions because we are business and we need the money. We need to continue. We need to move on. So all the feedback that we got in the discussions in the sprint review was a great input, and many times the refinement along the sprint was redundant and the planning window was longer than what I saw in many organizations in the software industry. Usually it's 1 or 2 hours. Here it's really like a whole day, okay, by the book. So another thing is the planning. So the planning is tightly coupled with the sprint review outcomes. The Scrum team, they self, their researchers that say that they have a lot of impact. They suggested what they would work on the next sprint based on the feedback from the sprint review. And together with the product owner, they crafted together the sprint goal and kicked off the sprint. Okay, it was a day with a lot of hustle, headache. It's really hard, but it's very, very a powerful event. Few examples for inspection and adaptation. Again, this is the true Agilic DNA that this organization was able to absorb. Initially, they really struggled to define a single sprint goal per team. Almost every ticket, they use Trello, but it doesn't matter. Almost every ticket was a sprint goal. They have like 15 to 20 per sprint. Now, I could argue with them and say you are not working in Scrum and that's not true. But hey, you cannot fight about everything at once. Okay. So you have to choose your fight one after the other. I let them struggle with that a little bit. Okay. And then they find out that really, if they define 15 or 20 goals per sprint, they are not focused and they cannot achieve most of them. So over time, they were able to better understand how to gather several tickets, several tasks into one or two or maybe three sprint goals that really provided them focus, and they were able to achieve it by the end of the sprint. So again, a great example of inspection and adaptation. And if you are agile coaches and consultants, this is also something that I learned. You don't have to tell them exactly what to do, everything. Okay, just let them learn by themselves, because our goal is to provide them the tools for inspection and adaptation and not tell them what to do, just like managers, professional managers. The definition of done, so I mentioned it a little bit. All of these, by the way, all the drawing is from that class, so it's done but. So I said earlier, the definition of done in the software is a commitment for an increment, but in the biotech, it defined expected work that needs to be done for the purpose of achieving valuable progress, to make smarter decisions, to reduce the risks, to be able to see the whole product as soon as possible and how it works and what direction we need to take in order to scale it. The daily Scrum, they have decided to do it only 3 times a week. As a PST, I teach them that every day that passes, they lose an opportunity for inspection adaptation, but they are self-managing. They decided that this is the best thing that is working for them, and they did that. The Scrum Master became very, very soon redundant in this meeting because the team was really proactive. I see so many organizations that try in the daily Scrum every day, but still they are just talking about what people are doing and not focusing on the sprint goal. And if the Scrum Master is not there, it's like when the teacher is going to school and we're going home because we don't need to stay in the class. Okay, so I think it is better 3 days in a self-managing team than every day, but not really doing Scrum. And the retrospective also took a great position there. The Scrum Master invented a lot of time to plan the retrospective, to make them creative, different every way, because creativity in the retrospective is not only for fun, it's also opening us for creative ideas for improvement. It also helps us to focus on different stuff, sometimes on our work as a team, to trust each other, sometimes on something that we can do better with the product. So they really invested a lot of time uh, facilitating retrospective in different ways, um, bringing the team together to really work together as a team and focus on the team. And you can actually see, I remember that one day the VP of R&D came to me and he said that the CEO of the startup came into his room and asked him, "What's going on here? I see people like in the kitchen and they're huddling together and speaking all the time. That it wasn't like that before. Before they were all either in front of their screen or in the lab. And that now people were huddling together and brainstorming all over. So the change was something really visible. You can actually see the better collaboration in the offices, which was really great. So to summarize, what is the main impact of the agile transformation in the biotech industry? First of all, very, very clear, highly engaged and motivated people. And this is also something that I don't see a lot or not in this level in software industry. People really feel that now people listen to me, even if I'm a junior researcher. Okay, I do have an impact and people can focus on what I'm saying. It created transparency that they didn't have before. They knew about the anodes, they knew about the cathodes, they knew nothing about a battery. Now they had the visibility. This transparency enabled them to make smarter decisions and create focus about the work. Just recently, I visited them after a few years, and everyone told me there. I did a short reassessment, and everyone that I talked to said, we are very, very clear about what is the focus of the organization, what is the business goal that we are trying to achieve. Everyone saw that, and I don't see that a lot in organization. Every single researcher in different levels, they say the same. So this is, I think, a huge a thing that they got. And what enabled this the most? First, determined management. It was the senior management that decided that they want to apply agility, and they put a lot of effort in that. Okay, they did. Many organizations come to me as a consultant and say, "I know what needs to be done. Just take the money, do agile with the team." This is not the way to do that. They said, "We need help. We own the process. We have impact. We have the card of the managers to make decision." And they invested a lot. It's not about money. It's about, sometimes it's not even about too much time, but it's a lot of attention. Um, Another thing that I found out that is very, very interesting is that the senior management, like the VP of R&D, was not a domain expert. And why am I saying that? Because many times, and also in the software industry, it's not only in the software, but many times in the software industries, VPs are, they are brought out from, from the keyboard. They were programmers before. They know the code. They know the product, and then and they, um, went up the ladder. Okay, because they were great, because they were professional, highly professional. But to be a manager is a totally different skill. And if the manager, the senior management, is too much into the details, so many times it interferes with the work of the people, and they are not able to lead the way, which is their main accountability. They don't need to know the details. Don't need to decide what to do. They need to speak the language good enough so people will not cheat them. Well, and by cheating, I'm not really mean cheat. I mean like, oh, this is very complex and we cannot do that. No, explain. Let me help you, but in high level, and they need to lead the way, not to firefight all the time. The third thing that helped the success, to my opinion, was the active involvement of the human resources. Again, eventually there are people behind the scenes. Okay, we need to support them. A change is not easy to consume, and we needed to support them, and we did it in a full collaboration with the HR team. The organization did high investment in the process. They were fully invested in it. Okay, you can actually see that. It's not as much as possible. And last but much not least is courage to take tough decisions, like letting go people who just cannot work in Agile or do not want to work in Agile. Many times there is always this highly professional person in the organization that the managers are scared to let go because he knows everything. And what do we do if we let him go? Him or her, of course. And but these people is very work in silo and do not share, and he's always a bottleneck. And if there is a vacuum, the vacuum you will fill in. So to take courage decisions like that and say, I know this man is super professional, he's super nice, but he doesn't fit. And if we decide to go in one way and a manager walks to the other way, it interferes with the organizational culture. So they let him go. So I don't tell you to fire people, but make courageous decision. Yes, and courageous decision might be wrong, but you have to still make a decision. And this is about it. So I'll stop sharing. So I want to see your faces a little bit. And I see that there are some items in the chat. I don't know if there are any questions. If you want to ask anything until I will read that, it will take me a while. Anyone wants to ask anything? Or say anything? Yes, Karen. Sorry. I see Karen is holding her hand.
So, such a great presentation, and
Thank you.
thank you for it. I wanted to know if you do know this, perhaps your realm is not this big yet, but how do the differences in the environment that you so bravely went into apply to bringing Agile to a larger pharmaceuticals like AstraZeneca? First question, and then how easy was it to engage HR and what challenges? Second question.
Okay, so I'll answer the second first because that was super easy. They were just they were initiating the process along with the VP of R&D. They came together.
Okay.
And it was the same. Actually, I don't know. It is interesting now that you're asking. It was the same in all the organizations that I've been working with. Yeah. Now, so this is one, and I try to do it in every organization that I work with, but not always I get the same support and involvement of the HR. Okay, but it
And
is
then they work
something
with what position? They initiated with what position did you say?
with the VP of R&D.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah, both of them talk to me all the time. We were the steering committee. Okay, and I try to do it in every organization. It's not always working, of course, but when it does, it is great because they can support the people with the change. And about scaling, well, that's a good question. First of all, I do have an experience with scaled organizations, but not in the pharmaceutical. Mostly I work with startup or smaller organization. In scale, the same. It's harder always. Okay,
Mhm.
so either you take a department and try to work there, or I mean, it depends who you work with and who initiated the transformation. Sometimes working with one department and create, all the waves towards the entire organization would be also, and of course, maybe more manpower to support the process.
Great. Okay, thank you. It's just hard to make the connections. It's huge organizations accomplish something
I know,
one place and then the other.
I
But
know.
thank you so much.
But it's like having a big product. Sometimes when you have a big product, so it's actually not one product. So you have to redefine the product and what is the product that we're talking about now. So take one department and work with them. That's just one idea.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? So
Yes, can I?
sure.
Can you say me, did you use something higher, some essence higher than sprint goals? Maybe you use key results, or maybe you use quarter planning, something like this one.
So no, we didn't use OKRs in that, and the quarterly planning also we did not use because again, every outcome, I mean, the vision was very clear, the product goal was very clear. Actually, it was very clear, but it did change every now and then. I mean, a little bit, yes, but mainly again, the result of each and every sprint had a lot high impact on how we are going to move forward and making decisions. So making a long-term plan of what alternative in the region that we will take were not relevant in this case.
My question is similar. So this transformation, what kind of measurable outcomes were set as a goal in the beginning, and how did you, I mean, how well did you achieve them?
So the outcomes were mainly transparency. Okay, as I said, they didn't have transparency and they wanted to accelerate the development cycle, and they were able to do that. I don't have it in numbers, but I do have the statements of the VP of R&D. They were able, by the way, to achieve the fast charging battery. Now they are in the phase, it's not software, it's not in the cloud. Now they are, raising more money for that, and the electric vehicles market is pretty low. It's not rose as expected. All these business issues that I don't have ideas about, and don't have knowledge about, but they were able to achieve it, okay? And the transparency of the entire product and the ability to make decisions brought them this is what they wanted to achieve, and they did. Arena?
Yeah. My question is, so I understand that it partially already came up. What is bringing the organizations to Agile? Because quite many organizations, particularly big pharma and all that, they are working in waterfall techniques. So there should be some trigger. There should be something that is bringing the senior management to this decision and keeps them going and keeps them motivated. So is there any system? Is there anything in common? Yeah.
I'll tell you what, knowledge. This VP of R&D came to me and he knew what Agile means. I don't know where from. He knew that he knew that he wanted to do that. He knew that this will help to achieve his goals of transparency and making smart decision. He called me and he was all in. Since then, to the organization that I've been through, so it's either people from there who really liked it and moved. I'm now working with another VP of R&D that came from this organization, for example, or I was working with another company that the VP of HR, she was working with me in a software organization. She moved to pharmaceutical. She knew that Agile would work and she came to me. So it's like they knew that Agile can work for them and they brought agility to their organization. No magic here.
Yeah, I understand. It's kind of a random situation that you need to fit in, and yeah, I
Exactly.
spoke
Yeah.
times before that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
actually
in
great.
the software industry, everybody knows about Agile. So yeah, I remember one interview that I had as a consultant in one of the software company, and I asked him, "Why do you want me to come? Why do you want Agile?" And I said, "I don't know. I hear it all the time." I said, "Seriously? That's why you want that?" So it's not happening in this industry, but in the software
Right.
industry, it does, and sometimes it looks like that.
Well,
Thank you.
folks, we got 1 minute remaining, and perhaps at this point we need to wrap this up. If there was a 30-second quick question that you can ask of Michal, and if you want to answer, we'll do that. Otherwise, I want to give a closing statement. Okay, so I will take it as we are done. So I want to thank personally Michal, you personally, for coming out and doing this great talk. I think that was very informative and some very interesting content, some insight about some of the areas that we do not go into much, like outside of software development, outside of traditional banking, pharma, healthcare. This is interesting, very interesting. So thank you very much. Everyone, we're gonna wrap this up, and hopefully the recording will be available in a few days. And if you have any questions, I would like to create the full transparency between you and Michal. Please go ahead and reach out to her directly. I think LinkedIn is pretty good for you for this, right?
Yeah, you can reach me via LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to connect with you and to answer any questions. And thank you so much for joining me today. I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Folks, thank you very much, and have a great day. The rest of the day, morning, afternoon, evening, depending where you are. All the best.
Weekend is across the corner. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.